What's going on, guys? JSGC here, back again for another daily Manchester City transfer update. Before I do crack on with today's transfer update, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, then do subscribe to my channel. It is free to subscribe. I'm going to keep you guys up to date every single day here on YouTube with all the latest Manchester City transfer news. So if you haven't already, do subscribe. We're on that push to 45,000 subscribers, less than 200 subs away, so any help towards that would be great. Also, don't forget as well to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up on today's video. We're aiming for 300 likes, and also don't forget to go and check out my social media links, including my X, Instagram and TikTok. You can find the links to them in the description. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. So we've had no contract news, we've had no outs news in the last 12 hours or so since I last did my Manchester City transfer update, but we have had some developments on Tino Livramento from Newcastle United, the 22-year-old versatile fullback who, of course, both-footed, can play right back and left back, and having a fantastic campaign right now with the England under-21 side, where this weekend they're going to be taking on Germany, I believe, in the under-21 European Championship final. So very best of luck to both Tino Livramento, James McAtee of Manchester City, who also is going to be featuring, and also England under-21 side as well, and let's see if they can win the trophy. So Manchester Evening News have said that because Newcastle United made the Champions League for next season, there's no longer any financial worries at Newcastle United, in particular when it comes to PSR. We're seeing right now Aston Villa have some complications in terms of both the incomings and outgoings at the club, and that's all down to them failing to make the Champions League. And it was a pretty similar situation for Newcastle last summer because they didn't have Champions League football on offer, but because for the upcoming next 12 months Newcastle do have Champions League football to offer, they're no longer under pressure to sell players, and therefore they're regarding Tino Livramento as unsellable, and they do not want to sell him this summer. The only way that Manchester City could perhaps make a transfer happen here would be for a ridiculous number to be paid to Newcastle, which Manchester City can afford, but it offers a lot of complications. In particular, it will more than likely require very close to, if not breaking, the record transfer for a defender to be signed, and it offers complications in other transfers in the future for Manchester City as well, because once you pay the big price once, more often than not, you're going to be paying more money for every single player that you bring in. So really what you want to be doing is making sure that you're striking a deal that's close to the player's valuation, and I presume that Man City's valuation for Tino Livramento isn't that of a record transfer for a defender. So the MEN have said that if Newcastle hadn't have made the Champions League last season, then a transfer for Tino Livramento would have been more straightforward, easier for Manchester City to convince Newcastle to sell, and also easier for Manchester City to convince Livramento to make that move. As of right now, Newcastle are a big club who are playing in the Champions League for next season. Livramento's helped them to achieve them goals, and therefore this deal is becoming near enough impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's close to impossible to make that transfer happen. The only way the transfer can happen is through Manchester City paying a very big fee for Tino Livramento, and or Tino Livramento asking Newcastle United for a transfer and that he wants a move to Manchester City, which the latter of that I just cannot see happening this summer. So it makes things very, very, very difficult when it comes to the potential signing of Tino Livramento, and I'm presuming that's why it's quite quiet on that front. Also, the players at the European Championships with the England under-21 side, so it's going to be quiet from that point of view, as well as he's fully focused on trying to win the trophy with the England under-21 side. The same with James McAtee. It's why it's quiet on James McAtee. They're not going to sort out his future until the tournament has come to an end, and I'm going to presume that the young players are more than likely likely at the start of next week going to go on holiday for the next 4 to 5 weeks. So we may not hear too much about this through the whole month of July, and that's not just for Livramento but also for James McAtee as well. I presume that Man City may just get in contact with James McAtee in particular just to try and sort out his future and say, skip a couple of days of your holidays, come into the club, speak about your future, and we can iron things out. Or James McAtee could simply just go away on holiday and put it down to his agent. But I imagine when it comes to high quality young players, they like to have control of their future and where they end up next, rather than just pretty much going to the club who's willing to pay the most, both to the club and for the player as well. But this report from MEN is saying that when it comes to a right back and Tino Livramento, it's probably going to make more sense for Manchester City to wait 12 months, assess the right back market, as Manchester City apparently not happy with the right back market right now, and Manchester City do not want to be making a signing for the sake of making a signing. They want the player to be right for the club, and so if that means they have to be patient, then it sounds like Man City are prepared to be patient to add a right back to the club, which means we do have the possibility of going with Mateus Nunes and also Rico Lewis as the two right backs for the season, with other players more than capable of covering them positions, including Manuel Akanji, John Stones and Kodia Husinov. But from what I was reading with this article, and I might be getting 2 + 2 = 5 here, but for me this is translating as Manchester City are confident that they can get Champions League football again for next season, and Manchester City want to see if Newcastle are going to struggle with having Champions League football and finding the balance between playing in the Champions League and in the Premier League, in particular with Newcastle now going to be playing an extra 2 games in the Champions League into January as well. The last time that this happened a couple of seasons back, Newcastle did struggle a little bit in the Premier League and they didn't finish in the Champions League spots for that season, and I think Man City are just going to keep their eyes open to see if that's going to be the case again once more with Newcastle, because if they do finish at any point outside of the top 4, PSR could become an issue, and bringing Livramento in could be much easier and much more straightforward for Manchester City, and at a price that City would be looking at. And if Man City have Champions League football at the end of next season and Newcastle don't, then it also becomes a bit easier for Livramento to ask for a transfer, because Livramento would be saying, I want to be playing in the Champions League season upon season, I want to be competing in the Premier League, and Newcastle haven't achieved their objectives for the season for X, Y and Z. But Newcastle are a very good team who, in my opinion, are more than capable of competing in the Premier League, finishing in a Champions League spot, and also making some progress in the Champions League as well. So this could well be, in 12 months' time, a non-starter. So it's very much an ever-developing situation. As of right now, near enough impossible, and I'm not expecting Manchester City to test the water for Tino Livramento, even if Man City do end up winning the Club World Cup and getting their hands on, what, £90+ million of extra income coming in from prize money for the competition, which would pay for a Tino Livramento transfer. It's more just a case here about transfers, not just for Tino Livramento, but for future transfers as well. Once you pay a really big fee that's way over the odds, every time you're going in for homegrown players who are playing for Premier League teams, they're going to continue to rip you off, and sometimes you've just got to look and assess the market and say, right now isn't the right time to make a move. Is there another player that we could make a move for? If there is, it's more than likely going to be a non-homegrown player, and it means that Manchester City would have to go out and sell some players to make a non-homegrown transfer happen. So yeah, and that's what I was speaking about in yesterday's transfer update and on my stream as well, where I was mentioning that City have got a good opportunity coming up, that if Stefan Ortega does want to leave, which is believed to possibly be the case, then we're looking here at a non-homegrown goalkeeper, a second choice goalkeeper. So if you bring a homegrown goalkeeper in to replace him, then there's one non-homegrown player knocked on the head. And if you can sort out the futures of some other players, like the Gundogan being linked with the exit door, Claudio Echeverri, is he going to be going out on loan or not? What's going to be happening with Vita Hayes? We need to sort out, obviously, James McAtee and Jack Grealish, Kyle Walker, Calvin Phillips and stuff. And once you get all that sorted, then you've got a rough idea about what the squad's going to look like, and then you can potentially start to focus once more on potentially just adding to the squad and seeing what we're left dealing with. But the sooner I think City get the ball rolling on these outgoings, the better. Again, complicated because we're at the Club World Cup, the young players are at the England Under-21 European Championship campaign, and other players are on holiday. So it's one of those, it's just a very frustrating part of the transfer market. It is what it is. There will be movement over the next 4 weeks as we head into July. So I will keep you guys up to date every single step of the way with my daily Manchester City transfer update. updates. So if you haven't already, do subscribe to my channel. It is free to subscribe. Also, don't forget as well to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Leave a thumbs up as well. We're aiming for 300 likes, and social media links are in the description if you want to go and follow me on my X, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorship for any videos or any general business inquiries, and I'll see you religiously tomorrow for the next daily Manchester City transfer update. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.